Good evening. This is CTV News for Monday, October 26th. I'm Gina Barti.
And I'm Patricia Malone. Glad to have you with us tonight. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court is set to examine if race is still being used in jury selection, despite it being unconstitutional for nearly 3 decades. The case, called Foster versus Chapman, involves jury selection in a Georgia case where prosecutors allegedly singled out all black potential jurors. Now, former Prince George's State's Attorney Glenn Ivey is part of a group of prosecutors that filed an amicus brief on behalf of Foster.
In 1986, it was a case, the Batson case, and basically the Supreme Court said, we're not going to allow lawyers to make peremptory strikes, and that's where they remove somebody from the jury panel just because they have a hunch. They don't need to have a reason or a basis for it, but they can remove them from the jury panel so they can't sit on the jury. The court said, we're not going to allow you to do that if your hunch is based on race. And so in this particular case, there's a lot of factual evidence that supports the fact that that's exactly what the prosecutor did here. And so we're asking the court to reverse it.
In the 1986 Supreme Court case, Batson versus Kentucky, Justice Thurgood Marshall welcomed the historic ruling, but he also questioned whether it was workable, saying that the goal to end racial discrimination in the jury selection process can only be accomplished by eliminating peremptory challenges entirely.
The Hogan Administration announces a bold new initiative that would require all Maryland toddlers to be tested for lead. Previously, children living in at-risk areas or those on Medicaid were tested. CTV's Sonia Shrivastava is standing by with more.
Well, studies have shown that children who ingest even small amounts of lead, that can lead to behavioral and learning problems in the future. Now, today, the Hogan Administration announced a lead testing plan, which would mean children ages 1 and 2, no matter where they live, would be tested. Now, historically, Baltimore City has seen high levels of lead paint in most of its housing units built before 1950. Now, the CDC says 5 micrograms of lead per deciliter of blood is acceptable, but every jurisdiction in the state has children with levels higher than that, and that is coming from the Maryland Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Now, while testing does not prevent lead poisoning, it can be a tool to identify those at-risk children and get them some follow-up help. In the newsroom, I'm Sonia Shrivastava. Back to you.
In mid-July, the Maryland Department of Environment sent notices to 87,000 landlords whose properties were built between 1950 and 1978 to register their units or face being fined.
An argument turns deadly when an Upper Marlboro man kills his wife and then turns the gun on himself. This, according to Prince George's police. On October 25th, about 10 a.m., officers were called to the 30th block of Joyston Way for reports of a shooting. When they arrived, they found 35-year-old Tanya Wilkerson Sullivan and her husband, 37-year-old Antoine Sullivan, suffering from gunshot wounds. They were pronounced dead on the scene. Authorities say the couple had an argument prior to the shooting. Detectives say that Sullivan shot and killed his wife and then turned the weapon on himself. Neighbors say more needs to be done to stop domestic violence.
Domestic violence really is a problem. Think that something should be done to stop these things, and we should really just do a better job with amping up security so that we can really protect those of us.
Anyone with information on this incident is asked to contact county police.
Meantime, Maryland State Police say they shot and killed a man after he rammed a trooper's vehicle. It happened just before 9 this morning at a Sheetz gas station in Fredericksburg. Police say the man, who was driving a vehicle that was reported stolen from Baltimore, fled on foot after crashing into the cruiser and pinning the trooper inside. Another officer opened fire, killing the man.
Doctors have been telling us for years that red meat and processed foods can cause cancer, and now the World Health Organization has released a report saying that it's true. WHO scientists evaluated hundreds of studies from several continents about protein and cancer. While it concluded that red meat contains nutrients, the study says it could be linked to colon, pancreatic, and prostate cancer. Processed foods were hammered in the report because many include nitrates and nitrites.
I'm not sure. Like, if they say it is, they say it do, it might, but I'm not sure. I mean, They still selling it.
I don't eat processed meats. I don't eat deli meats and stuff like that. But I do eat red meat sometimes, occasionally.
I like it all. I'm sorry, I like it all. Yeah, I don't know if they can or not. Everything you eat nowadays causes cancer. Everything you look at on TV might cause you cancer. I don't know.
Well, the North American Meat Institute has criticized the report, saying cancer is a complex disease and it's not caused by a single food group. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty. After the